Sculpture fish. So to start with, I'm drawing a very simple template of a fish and roughly what I want it to look like. And this is going to serve me as a guide on there. On here, I'm positioning my wire so the end of the wire don't go with a corner or a sharp turn in the wire on here, because I want to overlap my wires and tape them together a tiny little bit of masking tape to make sure we've got a strong and solid structure. So we need loads of overlaps on here. So here I'm shaping it using my template, same getting an overlap, bending it again, and where I get the overlap, cut a tiny piece of tape and overlap it on there. As you can see, I'm using a range of colour inspired by Alexander Calder here, which is the artist reference that we are looking at for this project. So same again, tiny piece of tape, a nice overlap, and just taping it, make sure both pieces of tape are stuck together, folding the tape in half. Same again, varying the colour still, and folding it, and then going back on itself, so we can get that nice strong structure. So I'm overlapping again, a tiny bit of tape. Okay, and because here I've got quite a long wire, I've decided to create some of the patterns that I want in the tail and some of the texture on here. So a little bit of tape going up and down. So here I'm going to do the circle here. So same, I'm starting by attaching it to the structure. I've bent it roughly in shape, but I'm attaching it, overlapping, a tiny bit of tape. I'm just trying to find the best way to overlap it on here. Tiny bit of tape, did the circle around, overlapped it again, so bend to the side to overlap and overlap that bit. Here I'm going to need 2 pieces of tape because I've got quite a long overlap. So try to remember absolutely overlap each time so we don't have any end of wire in sharp corners, and you get a nice strong structure on here. So for the eye here, I've wound my wire around a pencil or a pen, and here same, I'm just trying to create an overlap to attach this eye in the middle of the face. I've got an overlap here at the bottom, some tiny bit of tape here, and an overlap here at the top, and I'm using that overlap to attach the wire together. As you can see, I've also got some beads, and you could thread some beads as you go along, just to add a little bit of interest here in your structure. So here I'm continuing with some of the patterns in the tail and bending the wire so we get those overlaps, and I can tape. So each time I overlap, I tape, and I'm getting a really quite strong structure. Even so, my wire is really thin and quite pliable. With this overlapping is making my sculpture nice and strong. I'm keeping threading a few beads. Here my overlap in the middle, in between 2, just overlapping and joining any additional wire with an overlap as well. Here I'm going to fashion a mouth, and I've got my fish here. You could stop here, you could carry on. Here I've decided to carry on and add another layer of complexity in the pattern and come the pattern across to have something that vaguely resembles scales. You could obviously decide to pattern your wire in a different manner. I'm still threading some beads and adding some little bit of tape, and as you can see, the tape is actually looking quite pretty, and adding a little bit of interest on here. Just realized I'm missing the fins on my fish, so I'm adding the fins now. Same overlapping, trying to find some strategic places to overlap on here to make sure those fins are nice and strong, and adding a few beads on here. So overlapping that one, fastening it so it kind of goes through the side on here, and I'm measuring the other one very much same manner, overlapping, taping, shaping it so it's symmetrical to the top one, bending it in place and overlapping so we've got it nice and strong, and put a couple of beads on there. And here I've got my fish.